7 o'clock. Wow, there's a lot of people on here I want to send love to and healing to right now. Normally, if I'm ever doing a circle night or a talk, I can normally feel the crowd, whether it's online or whether I'm in the same room. So I do feel a lot of people who are here tonight may not be speaking on the live interaction, but are here because maybe they're in a place of deep trauma, wondering where to go next, what to do next, where the whole world is going. And this is a trigger warning for anybody who doesn't really want to hear the truth. It's a trigger warning for people to also understand that my personal journey, along with many, many hundreds, if not thousands of people, speak to me daily about their path, their journey, and of course their intimate feelings, secrets, and so on. And I am predominantly a healer, and I used to also be a reader of people's spiritual path, and in that understanding lies a responsibility. It's a hidden one. It's a responsibility that's not talked about, but it is whatever message is given disappears, and we don't focus on it or talk about it with anybody else. It's intimate between me, or should I say the spirit world, which I believe at the time when I was working full time made me the conduit or the bridge between the two worlds. And of course, many secrets were told, and I take them to my grave. What I share with you is things that I'm very aware of that could have a ripple effect. So there's only so much I can share with you tonight. What I do share with you tonight may be painful, and that's why I said it's trigger warning. It may be a shake up, a wake up call, and it could test you in many ways. But I think it's now the time to talk about this more than ever. So I welcome you all, 101 beautiful souls here thus far, and anybody else who watches the replay of this. My name is Mark Bajerski, for those who don't know who I am, and I've been a healer for 2 decades now, sharing what I believe is energy of healing, which is very important tonight, an energy that helped clear sadness, trauma, and sometimes dark energy. Sometimes there are attachments and there are very heavy energies that some people call demonic. All of these things that I've worked with alongside clients who experience that journey, which is very rare, but when you do, you need a helping hand. So part of this conversation will be about clients that I worked with, friends that I knew, and also those that came to the Pure Energy Healing Academy and experienced 4 days of pure energy healing, became healers, and then I watched them change over time. Very few, but I am going to talk about a few of those. So we're going to begin. This is going to be a 1-hour session because it's already playing on me now, on my shoulders and in my heart. So I know there's a lot of pain here tonight, and a lot of people are watching this. So I'm going to begin by saying that there is no such thing as wrong and right. There's just a path, and that path we choose to walk when we decide to move into this world from our spirit world. The path that we choose is a learning experience. The learning experience is always about truth, always about feeling, always about heavy, light, trauma, guilt, anger, jealousy, rage, ego, pride, and so on. These are simply energies that we feel, that we can create, and that we hold on to for the time that we feel we understand them, and we grow above that energy. So all of those energies are very, very low. So when we come into this world, many of us choose to feel. Feel meaning empathy. And I don't believe there is a lack of empathy. I just believe that the focus in certain people's lives don't manifest in that way because of what they're doing. So when in a playground, and I often refer to a playground scenario because it's so much like life, if you don't see the bully, if the bully doesn't see you, and if you see friendships, and if you see opposite sex, a girl and I'm a boy, and all my thoughts are on falling in love with a girl, then there's not really that empathy that is needed to stop the bully or to see what's going on, because you're too busy in your own world doing your own thing and the bully hasn't approached you. And sometimes you're too busy looking at the girl or looking at the boy, or can't wait to get on that swing, or can't wait to read the book, that we just don't see it. So life tends to be like this. But as an empath, we tend to look towards those people and ask ourselves, why are they so blind? Why can they not see what we see and feel? So now we go into the understanding of the conspiracy path. What is the conspiracy path? Deemed a double-edged sword, conspiracy, as you all know, was made by the CIA. It was a very clever way of shaming anybody who could see the bully in the playground, to mock the little boy who pointed to the bully and screamed to the teacher, while the bully would say he's a conspiracy theorist, and all the other children laughed. So we see conspiracy as being taken into another dimension, into another realm. It is the equivalent of stupid. It's the equivalent of dumb ass. It's the equivalent of uneducated morons. This is not where I'm going to go tonight. But I have to label something. I have to give you some indication of what I'm talking about. Truthers is another word. The truther movement has been hijacked. Again, hijacked because the bully needed to find a way to stop those who could see the truth. The truther movement has been infiltrated by the bully's friends. You know, the bully who always has 3 or 4 friends behind. They all jump in to the truther movement, meaning that they infiltrate the people who are pointing out the bully. So now nobody knows what truth is, because the bully's friends are causing chaos, lying, manipulating. Let us not forget ego, fear, pride, anger, jealousy, rage, bitterness, all folded in the word truther movement. So I made this video now as a live to be able to share with you what I feel tonight is about the slippery slope, the rabbit hole, the deep dive into darkness, the pitfalls, and all the other stuff that comes with it. There was a young man who came here, not knowing why, but he came and he wanted to experience being here because he was drawn to watching my videos. It soon became evident that prior to this, he was a drug addict, as many people who come to me are. Drug addict, sex, pornographic, doing extremely bad things, bad, awful, awful things, to the point where there was no hope. He was so in a dark place. So after the 4 days, through the crying, the suffering, and myself saying there's nothing to feel bad about. It's your journey, it's your path, and I throw no stones. I know what you've shared with me, and I can feel your pain, and I can feel what you've been through. And obviously it's a challenge, and it's a test for you now to walk your path and your truth and what you know is right from wrong. But I do not judge. What I quickly noticed is that many people from one addiction jump into another. And although you think that jumping onto the spiritual path, the healing path, the psychic path would be a really good thing, but actually it's still an addiction. And the root cause of the suffering within many people who came to me is still there. So most addicts jump from one experience to another, feeling that, and obviously turning a blind eye to the fact that they haven't healed anything within. It's just another fix. And that fix is now spirituality. And in time, you get to see this. In the years that I've spent working with young men and women and seeing this pattern. The second thing I want to talk about is the fact that spirituality, if you look at it in its truth, is revealing suffering, revealing pain, revealing lies, revealing manipulation. Spirituality means that you walk a path of truth. So you could actually say that the truth movement, it should be the spiritual movement. Or so you'd think. But then you realize that everybody who jumps into the truther movement is very similar to some of the people who came here, who jumped onto the spiritual path. They jumped from one painful situation that they couldn't fix, and they jumped into something else. This is normally because we turn a blind eye to what we've left behind. We do not stop and look at ourselves because it's either too painful or too difficult or too embarrassing or just too challenging. So many people who jump into the truther movement are indeed lost souls, but they hold a banner up which they use as a way of hoping that everybody doesn't see their true colors by the banner they hold. A bit like a man in a cloth, hoping that everybody thinks he's a good man. The cloth doesn't make you who you are, and neither does spirituality, and neither does the truther movement. So it was evident to see over the years that the truther movement and the conspiracy movement had a lot of people who were severely in pain, and many of them were suffering, and they needed to find a way of escape from the life that they led, from the suffering, from the pain. And it's an easy way out. I say this because these are some of the reasons why the truth, the movement, has become so diluted and very dark. And now you can understand why. It gives you food for thought. Not 100%, but there is definitely a hijacking of the conspiracy path and the hijacking of the truth, the movement. So now I've said that, I can move on to what I believe the truth, the movement can be. If you've ever played around with a Ouija board, some people will feel an energy of fear, of excitement, anticipation, but overall there is an unknown feeling. And I believe that there is similarities when you jump down the hole of the truther and conspiracy hole. And just the term jumping down the rabbit hole means that you're going down into a dark place. And we should be aware of this. The terminology. I sit here today having spent 20 years in that very energy, jumping deep and jumping out throughout the years, sometimes consumed by the darkness, sometimes consumed by the entities that are down those holes, that when you jump back are attached to you through that night and possibly the next day and possibly the next week, and sometimes they can consume you. So you first of all have to understand that when you start going down the rabbit hole, your whole life blows up in front of you. Your whole experience of what you've been through, knowing that you've just been lied to, that everything that you've learned was propaganda, a lie by those who won the war or won the fight. You realize that everything that you learned about, whether it was Mao Zedong, whether it was whoever, Hitler, all of those iconic, evil people, and also all of those that were put on pedestals, you start to realize that it was all a lie, mixed in with some truths. The agenda continues and we become awakened more and more. We see that we've been lied to. And I often refer to this, it's a bit like having a best friend that you've known all your life, and then one day he looks in your eyes and says, I lied to you every single day. I hate you. I told you lies every day. I never, ever told you any truth. So like I said, when you jump down that rabbit hole, you're not just jumping down at something where you are now blessed in this christening of being dunked into the water and pulled back out and you're reborn again. It's actually far from it. It's actually dark and it's traumatic and it can ruin your life. And I can honestly say I have lost a lot of friends who are in different parts of the world now. I've lost some dear friends who are no longer in this world, but happily are in the spirit world back home. So I've been affected not only by the friendship, but also my own experience of jumping down that rabbit hole and losing friends myself, and my business nearly almost ruining, my credibility nearly disappearing to nothing. Many people ridicule me to this day, mocked, abused, and so on. But hey ho, I'm still here, and this isn't about me. It's about any of you guys who maybe halfway down, just starting, or maybe at the point of losing everything because you decided to focus fully on the rabbit hole and what was down in that rabbit hole. There are many things that happen to us when we're down in that hole, but mainly we lose track of time, meaning that the darkness steals your time. This is one of the greatest tricks darkness plays on us, stealing our energy, our focus, and our time. It does not matter whether it's dark. It does not matter whether it's fear or trickery or sleight of hand. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's the truth. It doesn't matter whether it's enlightening. The darkness only works to steal your energy. And when you're down in that hole, being abused by everything that you find out, that you've been lied to by that friend, there's only one consequence to that, and that is your energy depletion. You lose your energy. At the same time, you lose your focus. At the same time, you lose your friends a little bit more. You lose your family. And anything that you had to look after, possibly a business, which is almost like looking after a baby, that will slip away too. And why is that? Down in the rabbit hole, it tells you that everything that we live and do in this world is wrong and a lie. And once we embrace that, how can we embrace living in that lie? And thus, we reject everything. We reject everybody. We call them. We can't believe that they cannot see. We become judgmental even more than anybody around us. We become bitter and angry because we believe if they carry on doing what they're doing, then this will never change. This world will never change, and it's your fault, and it's the sheep's fault. And then we start to throw stones, calling out blasphemy. We now see others as nothing more than stupid sheep, idiots. They deserve what they get. Well, if they die, it's their fault. Better that they go than be here and cause this problem. And as you can see and hear from my voice, it's nothing more than a slippery slope. And the devil has a smile on his face, watching you fall deeper and deeper into the trap that I call the truther and conspiracy trap. And it's heartbreaking. And I've watched this for 20 years in my friends and also in myself when I got pulled down into that blackness, that darkness, that cesspit. Don't pay your tax, because if we pay our tax, then the system continues. The darkness smiles, because now you'll be thrown into prison. It wins. I am a sovereign being. I've studied Jordan Maxwell. I understand that I am merely a share worth $150,000. I claim my sovereignty back, and I want my money. But if you listen to Jordan Maxwell carefully, and listen to those who tried to get out of this cesspit, this wheel of satanic motion, he talks of one person who managed to do it. And I've heard this before. But if you listen carefully, but what happened to that person who got his 150,000 and now is a sovereign being? Jordan said, but it comes with a catch. Always does. So what's the catch, Jordan? The catch is simple. You cannot live in this world. What do you mean? Well, apparently the man bought a car. Once you sign back into the system can take all your money. And you've lost everything again. So that doesn't work. Let us stand in front of a judge and let him decide. The judge is wearing black robes. There's a reason why he's wearing black robes. Saturn and all the other craziness that goes with it. Yes, that may be the case, Mr. Bajerski, and maybe you're right in what you're saying. But unfortunately, I have the final say. Send him away for 20 years. That doesn't work, does it? So now you know so many people have lost their businesses, lost their jobs, lost their livelihoods in whatever they decided to do and then not do, because it revolves in this satanic system. I refuse to be part of it, so I will lose everything. I will give it away. I don't want it because this is all wrong. Yeah, I've seen many of my friends do that. And it's not a good ending. It's not a good ending. Going down the rabbit hole and coming back up and sitting in front of those who had just stepped into that rabbit hole and started regurgitating information. You can feel the fear. You can feel the confusion. You can feel something that is very unbalanced. It's a very negative energy. And then paranoia sets in, which is the final nail of the coffin. Paranoia is one of the most darkest energy to which I can honestly say that you open yourself up to elements of darkness, of entities and demonic energies. And thus you will see many truthers or spiritual truthers or spiritual conspiracy theorists turning very, very dark to the point that you can feel you have to break free. And this is not them anymore. The person that I once knew is no more. And in truth, most of them have been taken over. Most of them have now a very manipulating entity attached to them, which is whispering in their ear, he doesn't believe in flat earth. He's one of them. He doesn't drink natural water from a spring or from the glaciers. They're stupid. The whispers of darkness and of entities are now fully attached, full judgment, full paranoia, just like the Ouija board. Their face changes, ego becomes huge. They fight. They fight. They do not discuss. They do not chat. They do not have an interaction. They're only their truth. And they're right. And nobody else is right. And thus, the whisper of the darkness within, the attachment, manipulates them every moment and every day and every evening, telling them what they should do. Look at them. Look at who they are. And they spend the rest of their days finding faults, finding or looking for signs that they are evil and they are part of the darkness. They are part of the problem. And thus you see them slipping away, distancing themselves from everybody. And that's what entities do. They just want you for themselves. Now you can see why this is a trigger warning. I know this because I've spent 20 years confronting it, trying to help people clear this out of their life, trying to help awaken people to the trauma where it all begins from within oneself and one's childhood. It does not matter whether the childhood was tragic or whether the childhood was beautiful childhood. No, not at all. So, you hate everyone now. You don't believe anyone. You judge everyone. You've fallen so dark into the truth and movement and the conspiracy movement that you are consumed. And if you are halfway there, if you have only just started and you hear my words and you fear what I've just said, it is because your consciousness is speaking to you now, saying to you, this can happen to anyone. And it can, and it does, and it will get you if you are not balanced. You enter into another reality. That is hard to see anything else. It's worse than any drug, any marijuana, any cocaine, any heroin. You wake up one morning and you feel a bit better. Your consciousness that evening left the physical body and received healing. And you came back and you're back to yourself just for a brief moment. But the darkness pulls you back in again through the black screen, through ego, and through judgment. Isolated, more hate, more separation, more distance. It becomes a daily ritual and a dark ritual. So now we know the worst of what can happen. What is the solution? I see life now as a tightrope. I don't see the tightrope too high. So if I fall, it's not going to hurt. But the tightrope is my path. The tightrope is my only way forward. Jumping out of the suffering, the ego, the judgment, the pain, the hate, the mock and ridicule. The tightrope is there to keep me balanced. When I'm on my tightrope, I am not thinking about anybody else other than finding my balance. So see the rabbit hole with the tightrope coming out of it. You get up out of the rabbit hole, and now for the next 100 meters, you walk the tightrope, nothing else. This is how I got out of it. And I closed my eyes and fully focused on the tightrope. The black screen is on one side. People's judgment is on the other. People's weakness is coming up. The sheep are everywhere. The haters are everywhere. The stupid are everywhere. Remember, I'm still in the darkness, but I'm on the tightrope. And I walk for 100 meters on that tightrope till I pass everybody without focusing on any of them. And I did this by going into Mother Nature, Mother Earth, and sitting down next to a tree. And I kept repeating to myself, let it go, let it go, let it go. Snapping out of the demon, snapping out of the entities, snapping out of the brain, constantly screaming, letting it go. Looking at myself, recognizing why I was being pulled down, recognizing where I was, recognizing what I'd done, how easy it is to fall for everything and anything, believing everything, but still rejecting the fact that I believed something that proved not to be true. How easy is it to forget and reject that and still believe that I am right? But now I look at all the things that I was wrong. I see all the things that I fell into. And now my anger and my focus changed. Hang on a minute, that wasn't right. And I believed it. What a fool am I? And so you begin the fight against your consciousness and your mind. You know what? It doesn't matter. Look how angry I am. I don't want to know. My consciousness speaks to the brain. So the battle begins. I recognize all the things that were making me angry, that were losing my friends, that my business was getting worse, that I couldn't communicate, and just leave me alone. Leave me alone. I'm not interested. And so the battle continued. To recognize that we can easily be influenced by drama, by memes, by breaking news, by being fooled in the trickery that darkness and many of those infiltrated into the truther movement deliberately. I don't want to be in that anymore. I don't want to be part of that anymore. What do you do now? You break free and you say to yourself, I've served my time. I've done my time down the black hole. I've sacrificed. I focused. I fought for what I believe was right. And look at me now. Am I really any further healing this world? Am I any closer to happiness and joy? And back we get pulled down because the brain says, you're not meant to be here to have fun and enjoy yourself. You're meant to be fighting. You're meant to be a warrior. You're meant to be a leader. You're meant to shine the light and let others see. And thus you pull back down again because darkness and entities know how to play with you. They know how to make you feel guilty, just like the school bully. You see, if it was love in that rabbit hole, you would see truth and happiness and joy, and most of all, a way out. Most of all, you will see the answer that is revealed to what needs to be healed and what you can do. But if you truly understand and you truly look in your mirror, when you are pulled down into that dark hole, there's never an answer. There's never an explanation. There's never the truth. There's never anything that gives you resolution or the answer to heal and fix. So you're left in the misery and suffering. So when you pull yourself back out and realize all of these things, you take a break. You throw the phone away for a day. You go into Mother Earth and walk the mountain or swim in the sea. You start to come back into yourself and heal yourself by accepting that there could be influence, as the Ouija board can influence, as you open up to dark energies can influence. And it could be that a lot of the times it was not you who was speaking, but was influenced. Face the truth. Face the truth. I have faced the truth many times with the help of my friends who could see me slipping. I would fight, but that wasn't me. That was my brain, and that was the darkness. Recognizing what we are, our actions, can bring us back on the tightrope. Walking the tightrope, it means that you're in balance, recognizing whenever the darkness tries to pull you off the tightrope, whether that may be breaking news, again, another person saying something bad about you, somebody this and this is happening and this is what we should do and shouldn't do. You should be in this group. You should be with us. Pulling you back again from your power. Go into nature at least once a day for 1 hour. Putting your phone down, looking at the clock on your wall, or looking at the clock on your phone, leaving your phone, and when you feel the pull towards your phone, look at the time and see how many minutes you were allowed freedom and healing. Was it 2 minutes? Was it 10 minutes? Was it 20 minutes before you felt the pull towards the black, dark screen? Was it 15 minutes? It was 5 minutes, Mark. I couldn't do without it. I need it. I need to know. So there, that gives you the time. That darkness allows you that freedom. That your brain allows you that freedom. That the entities that could possibly be around, that allow you that moment, but no more. There lies your battle. There lies our battle. I speak of this today because I am faced with the possibility of losing another 15 or 20 friends to what I clearly see over the years that I see today within them, and the slippery slope of what I call the dangers of the conspiracy and truth a trap. And that is what I wanted to share with you today. Whether this helps, whether this is a mockery to you, whether you hate me for it, whether you spit and laugh, whether you judge me, whether you start pointing fingers to make yourself feel better, whether you've left already, it does not matter. I just share with you what I see more and more on a daily basis to people that are falling down the rabbit hole, which many people say is a cliche and a trap in itself if you're not strong and you're not balanced. This live is only here for those that may want to go down the rabbit hole. And I tell you what I've seen over these years. It is not a warning. It is merely my experience through hundreds of clients, friends, and family who have slipped away into another dimension. The good news is that when you hit the bottom, normally you snap out of it. So my final message: you cannot save somebody when they're falling. They have to hit hard until they wake up from it. It can take a month, a year, or 10 or 15 years. But I think most of us go through it. And although it's sad, it is part of the journey, as taking drugs, being religious, fanatic, eating too much, drinking too much. It's just another experience that I share with you, fully with love and no judgment whatsoever, because I've been there many times. That's it. That was my truth. Bit heavy, eh? And you feel it when you talk about it. You feel even comes to you when you talk about it. That's how powerful it is. Powerful meaning not light, but dark, heavy. Any questions? We have 10 minutes. Anything that you'd like to ask? I can't promise that I can answer any of these questions because it's a slippery one. Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. You're always a beautiful light. You're always kind. You're always loving. You're non-judging. You've always been my friend since you came here with your beautiful husband, and you're always in my heart. Thanks, Grace. Yeah, as we can clearly see now, it's been infiltrated and it's becoming a cult. The truth movement and the conspiracy movement always get hijacked in the end, just like anything good. This is why I don't do groups, because they always get hijacked. I don't do businesses anymore where there's loads of people who come together, because they get hijacked. And you cannot take care of everybody. You don't know everybody who comes into that group. You don't know who they are and what they're going through and how dark they can be. And if they're connected to dark energy, or they have real issues and problems that can ruin a group. That's why I don't do group meditations and world meditations with tons of people anymore, because I realize that you don't know who's infiltrating that group and who has low energy. So, and that's not being nasty. That's just being truthful. I offer people to come to a healing group session where we send healing to those that need it, but choose wisely. Do you need healing, or are you going to send healing? I want to send healing. How are you feeling out of 100 now? 1 bad, 100 the best. I feel about 50, 30%. Maybe you need healing then. So don't send healing, because you're not sending anything good. You need to get to 100 to send healing to people, or else you won't be sending what needs to be sent. And if you are in the healing circle sending healing, then we can't give the 100%, because you're 50%. You're only as strong as your weakest link. Do you know how many people misinterpret everything that I say? So many, because they don't understand. And they think before I speak. They judge before I finish my sentence. Hi, Karen. Thank you, Mark. My question is, with so much to think about, do and be, how can one ever feel they are being enough? I try to be a good person, but I fear I block myself. You've just answered your own question. The strongest part of you, the weakest link of you, is the fear. You fear. That's that. I don't fear anything. I've moved forward from fear. I've experienced it. I've tasted it. I've swallowed it. I've worked with it. I have let it take over me. I've let it made me sick. I've let it made me hate. Fear is too heavy an energy to sit on your shoulder anymore. The burden of your life is what you carry with you, which is not yours to carry. But because you're a kind and caring soul, you carry it because you feel you've been told to, but nobody ever told you to carry that. What you were born to do was make yourself the best version you can. Now, my question to you is, how long have you been doing this for? How long have you been fearing? How long have you been feeling, how you feel in a negative? Okay, well, you've served your purpose. You've served it. You've done what you've done. So today, you absolve yourself from all of that fear and the crosses that you carry, which don't belong to you. And you now start working fully on yourself, letting go of everything else and saying, you know what, guys, I've done this for far too long. I think I've served my purpose. I think I've done what I've needed to do. So I'm going to take a break from this. And I'm now going to fully focus on something even more challenging. And that's myself. And today I work on myself from this moment on. And I'm not looking at the dark screen. I'm not looking at breaking news. I'm not looking at that. I'm leaving it to all the other people who have chosen to go down that path now. So I've done my time. So you've done your time. You've done your prison time. It's served right now. I've told you, Karen, it's served. So get back on your feet, start working on yourself, and making your life the best example you can by being positive, by being successful, by being amazing. And success isn't about monetary value. It's about being fantastic in every way you can and making yourself wonderful and telling yourself you're beautiful, telling yourself you're amazing, spending time on healing yourself, spending time in nature, spending time on doing things that make you feel happy. That is my answer to you. And my answer to everybody on here. You've served your bloody purpose. You've done your job. There are generation after generation well before you go. Ask yourself, if you died tomorrow, do you think that the world would stop, Karen? Would it stop? Your friends, your family, would it make any difference? No, it wouldn't. So let everything be and work on yourself. It's really simple. I don't know. To me, that's a choice, and it's depending on what you're going through, Lottie, as well. If you're going through a spiritual transformation in energy and you're starting to see energy like you've never seen it before, or you understand energy because you can see how it is. I keep myself to myself when I'm not feeling good because I respect people's energy and I understand how strong my energy can be when I'm not well. So if I see somebody who's not well in energy, I will purposely cross the road and shout, hey, and wave and keep running, keep going. I won't be in a crowd because I don't want to be in that energy if I don't feel it's right. But then not so long ago, I was in Bali and there was a group of beautiful people meditating. And I said, is it okay if I join and sit down? And they said, absolutely, you're most welcome. So I sat with some beautiful Balinese people who were doing a ritual, a blessing. And I was part of that energy. I felt great. So choose your energy, choose the people you want to talk to, and don't be frightened of saying, but don't be awful. Don't be nasty. Just box clever. Be smart. Yeah, well, again, you've already answered your own question. The mind is a very powerful tool. And the tool is that I have spoken of 20 years. The greatest battle you will ever have, Pop Rocks, is between your heart and mind, between your heart and consciousness. But you've got to understand that your mind is a bugger and it plays tricks and it's simply a computer, nothing more, nothing less. When you can make that distinction between the computer, which is only a program of all that you've experienced and been told and lied to and all the other stuff, and it's just an illusion. The mind is simply an illusion. And when you realize that, you put it into context. The mind is nothing more than illusion. It is meaningless. It is a curse. It's a challenge. It's a test. But your consciousness is who you are. So the mind needs to be conquered by the consciousness. And that's your path. Many people have gone through it, and many people go through it every day. You are no different from anybody else, Pop Rocks. It is the path we choose, and you alone, and I'm talking to your consciousness, has the power over your mind. So start today. All right, guys, love you all. I hope you enjoyed this. Sending much love, and remember, no one has the power over you unless you let them. Take care. Bye, guys.